Follow me. Don't be afraid. Let's submerge together on the subtleties of the extremely surrealistic concept, such as closing costs. Just wait to be surprised. The concept of closing costs reminds me of an interesting myth. A myth whereas a tiny, very minuscule ant was running towards its built-up nest, an anthill, I should say, that is located just in the very middle of an elaborate ant colony composed of very intricate underground tunnels. This ant, that went by the nickname Antituck, was somewhat fragile, but nevertheless always determined to serve the queen ant by paying Her Majesty the day's closing costs, which consists of dead insects, grains, fruits, vegetables, and best of all, sugar, the ultimate fascination of all living ants. These closing costs are for the privilege of living in a property under the authority of the Almighty Queen. But one day, Antituck knew her days of existence on Earth were coming to an end, given that female ants have sadly only a 1-year lifespan. She knew it was time to transfer her anthill home to one of the Queen's many ant offspring for their near future habitation. And so, she proceeded to offer the Queen huge amounts of grass, leaves, fruits, and best of all, honeydew from the secretion of aphids to help pay the new ant for the anthill transfer. And so, she went on to pay the closing costs of her anthill property. The next day, after paying her closing costs, Antituck will never again open her small but beautiful and enchanting eyes to see the sun penetrating its warm rays onto her tiny, diminutive chitin body. She will forever become one of the thousands of billions of ants that have anonymously existed throughout Earth's history and ultimately been forgotten. We honor you, Antituck, for your hard, anonymous labor in serving your queen's colony. Like Antituck, we humans too pay our own form of closing costs. This, most likely, but not entirely limited to, comes in the form of buying a home, a place to call yours. The amount of grass and leaves that Antituck gave the Queen for the anthill transfer represents the mortgage insurance and lender fees for your home, and the honeydew from aphid secretion represents survey and property taxes paid and included in the closing costs given to the government. In essence, closing costs are expenses incurred upon in order to complete the final phase of a real estate transaction. They are costs separate from the property's price value and one that both buyers and sellers incur upon finalizing a real estate transaction. Thus, closing costs are composed of lender fees, government processing fees, upfront tax payments, and homeowners insurance. Yes, closing costs is a lovely way of signifying one's earthly, material, economic responsibility towards authority and society as a whole when transferring a habitable place to someone else in its final phase is concerned. Bye, and don't forget to please subscribe, and I'll guarantee that you'll have helped me popularize these strange but unavoidable human phenomenon of closing cycles closing long-term relationships, and obviously, why not, closing costs.